President Biden finally addressing America 3 days after dropping out of the race for the White House.
My record as president, my leadership in the world, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
Really? Was it his decision? Joining us now on the phone, the 45th President of the United States, who wants to be the 47th, the GOP presidential nominee, President Trump. Mr. President, welcome back. We used to do this before you were running for office. Now we're back doing it with the stakes much higher than who's going to win The Apprentice. But let's talk about that speech last night. Do you think we learned why Joe Biden decided not to run against you?
Well, I think it was a coup. They didn't want him running. He was way down in the polls, and they thought he was going to lose. They went to him and they said, you can't win the race, which I think is true, unless I did something very foolish, which I wasn't going to do. And I think he was so far down, and they said, you're not going to win, and you're not in great shape, and you did poorly in the debate. I think the debate started everything. That really started the fall if he didn't have the debate. And remember, they challenged me. I didn't challenge them. They said, let's have a debate. They gave me everything I didn't want, from Jake Tapper to everybody else in CNN, and I said I'll take it, because I was surprised that he was willing to debate. So we debated. It didn't turn out well, but it really began from the debate, and the ratings, his approval numbers went very bad, and I was beating him by a lot, and all of a sudden you could see what was happening. They were trying to do a coup, and I have it from very good information. I know a lot of people on the other side, too, that they went and they forced him out, between Pelosi and Obama and some others that you see on television. It was interesting. I'd watch them on television, and they act so nice. Oh, yes, we love Joe. We love Joe. Behind the scenes, I know for a fact they were brutal.
So, Mr. President, should he have taken yesterday, during that Oval Office address, to resign? Because there's clearly something up right now. The reports are coming out that he's fallen asleep in cabinet meetings. They're scripting everything. You have aides saying that Nancy Pelosi had to take over infrastructure negotiation because he was all over the place. Should he have resigned yesterday in this speech?
He's been this way for a long time. He hid in his basement during COVID. They pulled a fast one. He was in his basement. When I was campaigning, I say, where is this guy? He's never out. And he's been this way for a long time. I think he's worse now. I watched the speech last night, and look, the amazing thing is, you look at the other networks, they say, oh, wasn't that a wonderful speech? Wasn't he wonderful? It was terrible. It was like a terrible speech, and terrible delivery. He looked like he was having problems. And yet you watch the other networks, and you would think he was Ronald Reagan in his prime, Winston Churchill in his prime. And he wasn't. It was not good. It was not a good speech. The look, the sound, the voice, everything. And, it's so phony what's going on. I mean, the press is it's so fake. Anybody can see it was a problem. He's a problemed man. Should he stay? I guess that's up to him, and it's up to the people. And I don't think they should use the 25th Amendment. You have not long to go. We have 4 months now, and then he's got another month and a half. But I will say this, the world is in a very dangerous place. I think if he goes, she then takes over, and she's worse than he is. I really believe she's a San Francisco radical. She's actually, I think, a much worse candidate than he is. And she's not doing very well in the polls, considering she's got a little birthday present.
Well, she's so progressive, and you can just look at her voting record. Nonpartisan Government Track says she's the most liberal U.S. senator. She's more liberal than Bernie Sanders when you look at her record. And last night, I don't know if you watched Sean's show, but in his A block, his monologue, he went through all of her radical proposals. And then he would say, listen to it in her own words. And then he'd play a soundbite of what she wanted to do. And her saying that she wanted to do this. She's against fracking. She likes the open border. She's not going to criminalize people who walk across the border, on and on and on. It just laid out how drastic her policies are. Can America survive a Kamala Harris presidency?
No. And she also wants to defund the police, and she really wants to do it more than any other person. She's the most radical person probably that we've had in office, let alone the office of the presidency. She was a horrible campaigner when she ran. You know, she ran against Biden, and I thought he was terrible, but she was terrible. She was horrible. And she was the meanest person up there. You know, she was meaner to him than anybody else. She accused him of being a racist with the buses, if you remember. She was the meanest person, but not a very good debater, but nasty, just nasty to him. And then when he chose her, I said, how do you do that? A person treats you so badly. He was treated so badly during the debates. And he wasn't all there even during those debates. I mean, that was a long time ago. He still wasn't there. You know, if you know him, he wasn't there 25 years ago. He was not exactly the brightest bulb in the ceiling. And this is what we got. And look at our country now with 20 million, because the number I saw you talking before to Rachel's mom, and it was very sad. I know them, and it's very what happened to Rachel was so horrible, and what happened to so many families and so many people in families with all of the criminals pouring into our country. And remember this. Every single country all over the world, unless they're stupid, is releasing their prisoners and their gang members and their bad people into our country. Venezuela, which has a tremendous problem with crime in Caracas and other places, Venezuela is releasing thousands of people, criminals, gang members, drug dealers, the worst. They're releasing them into the United States. Venezuelan crime is down 72%. Their prison population is becoming much smaller. I'm surprised they haven't just moved all of them. They will. They'll soon have no prisoners. All of the prisoners are being moved into the United States. And that's true with many other countries. It's true with countries all over. The Congo in Africa is releasing their prisoners into the United States.
So,
and we are so stupid that we take them, and nothing good is going to happen. And we have terrorists coming in at a level that we've never seen, mostly from the Middle East. Terrorists are coming into our country at a level that we've never seen before. And this is so bad for our country. There is nothing good about it. This is so bad for our country.
And there we were looking at some of the video from the new caravan that is heading our way. Mr. President, you know, it was just about a week ago that you selected J.D. Vance to be your running mate. Now we know that at that point you didn't know that Kamala Harris was going to be your main opponent, but now she is. And I'm sure you've seen there have been a couple of stories out that say they wonder whether or not you feel you made the right pick, given the fact you didn't realize you were going to be running against a woman who might now try to pick a running mate to deliver a key state or a demographic or anything like that. You're still 100% behind J.D. Vance, right?
He's fantastic. Yeah, no, it wouldn't have mattered. And I thought she was probably going to happen anyway, because I knew there was a palace coup going on, and I assumed that she'd be probably getting it. She had the advantage. So, yeah, it wouldn't matter. No, he's doing a fantastic job. He goes around. He's essentially for the worker. He's seen the worker be horribly abused and taken advantage of, and he's for the worker. That's what his book is about. That's where his feelings are.
Gotcha.
No, he's for the worker. No, he's great. He's doing a great job, and he's been very well received.
Well, Kamala Harris has given two speeches now that she's the candidate, and they're almost identical speeches. This is what she's doing. She's going after you this way. Watch.
Before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
There's the attack. What's the retort?
Well, I think it's disgusting, and I get a kick out of one thing. They say, sir, be nice. You just got hit with a bullet. Maybe he's changed. Be nice. And I'd love to be nice, but I'm dealing against real garbage. When you hear that, they've weaponized the justice system against me. They've indicted me 4 times. They've pushed other lawsuits onto me. It's never happened in this country. This is like a third world country, what they've done, a banana republic. Every single court case that I have is pushed on by them. They've taken the Justice Department, used local DAs, and used local attorney generals. Every single case I have, and I just won the big one in Florida that Biden didn't win. What happened to Biden is they called him incompetent. He can run for president, but he's incompetent to represent himself in court. But just so you know, they push all these cases on me. They're the ones that started. And then they say, I'm a prosecutor. He's a criminal. They're the ones. Every case is started by them. And I'm winning the cases. But every case, and the big one I just won in Florida was just thrown out by a brilliant judge, to be honest with you.
Eileen Cannon.
And it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that they can do this. It's called weaponization, and it does happen in other countries.
Mr. President,
but does it get under your skin?
It's never happened in this country before.
Does that get under your skin when those comments are made? Because that's what they're meant to do.
It's not a question of getting under your skin. You fight back. I fought back, I think, very valiantly. But they weaponized the United States Justice Department against Donald Trump for purposes of hurting their political opponent. And so far, and I think long term, it's had a positive effect. My poll numbers are high. They're higher than they've ever been. People don't like what they're doing. They weaponize it to go after a political opponent. Now, and she was very much in charge, and she was a prosecutor, but she was a failed prosecutor. She put a lot of people in jail that should have never been there. She put people in jail that were political enemies. She's bad news. She's a radical left, not very smart person.
Mr. President,
she failed her bar exam. She couldn't even pass her bar exam.
So
it was brutal on her. She couldn't pass it. She thought she'd never be able to pass it. This is what we have as our next president?
So speaking of radical, Mr. President, we've been watching these protests, and while the Prime Minister of Israel was giving a great speech yesterday, you had protesters burning the American flag. They were screaming Allah Akbar. They had the Palestinian flag. They took the American flag down. They were writing Hamas on the bell outside of Union Station. What does a Donald Trump do if he takes office to these people on the street?
Rarely have we seen anything like this, and I think you should get a 1-year jail sentence if you do anything to desecrate the American flag. Now, people will say, oh, it's unconstitutional. Those are stupid people. Those are stupid people that say that. We have to work in Congress to get a 1-year jail sentence when they're allowed to stomp on the flag and put lighter fluid on the flag and set it afire. And when you're allowed to do that, you get a 1-year jail sentence and you'll never see it again. And all over the world, Putin and President Xi of China, all over the world, they're watching this. Kim Jong-un, he looks at us like we're a bunch of babies. They see that. That wouldn't happen in their countries. It's impossible for that to happen in their country. Where we look so bad to the world. That was a disgraceful display yesterday.
The Prime Minister had a beautiful speech. It was wonderful, and he introduced some of the hostages that we've all been praying for. They were standing up. He introduced us to some of the IDF soldiers who had lost limbs and talked about how radical Iran is and what's happening in Gaza. I know you're meeting with him tomorrow after Kamala Harris snubbed him and didn't go to the speech. What is your plan if you become president to end the war in Gaza?
Well, first of all, he was very nice to me yesterday. He mentioned me in the speech very nicely, and I appreciated that. He's coming to see me. I want him to finish up and get it done quickly. You got to get it done quickly because they are getting decimated with this publicity. And, you know, Israel is not very good at public relations, I'll tell you that. Israel, for whatever reason, you have Jewish people out there wearing yarmulkes, and they're, you know, pro-Palestine. You've never seen anything. People have never seen anything like this. Israel has to handle their public relations. Their public relations are not good, and they've got to get this done fast because the world is not taking lightly to it. It's really incredible. You know, October 7th would have never happened if I was president. There was no chance. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. It just wouldn't have happened. Zero chance. By the way, Ukraine, the attack by Russia would have never happened during
Mr. President,
Ukraine.
they're soul walking weapons to Israel now, and they're deciding what weapons Israel should be using. Would you change that policy?
I'd make sure that it gets over with fast. You have to end this fast. It can't continue to go on like this. It's too long. It's too much. You got to get your hostages back. I think they're going to have a lot of bad news with the hostages. I think some of those hostages, many of them maybe are dead. Yeah. I believe they're dead. I watched them as they took the hostages in disbelief. Again, it would have never happened if I was president. I watched them as they took the hostages. The level of violence and viciousness, the way they pulled that young girl into a car by her hair and threw her like a sack of potatoes. And I don't believe that they're really capable of taking care of all these hostages. And I think you're going to find that one of the reasons that Hamas is not really negotiating very nicely, I think they're saying, wow, they want the hostages back, and we've killed the hostages. I think a lot of the hostages are dead.
Right. Mr. President, we all watched your rally last night indoors. Of course, the Secret Service suggested you have indoor rallies given what happened to you less than 2 weeks ago. Earlier this week, we heard from the Secret Service director. She was asked a bunch of really good questions. She didn't really give any answers. Yesterday, Christopher Wray, the FBI director, was on. He had lots more things we had never heard before, including the fact that the gunman, the day that he registered to go to your rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, he also Googled, and this was the search, he Googled, how far away was Oswald from Kennedy? When you heard about that, what did you think?
Well, look, some big mistakes were made. And, you know, they didn't give me, because I'll have rallies of 55, 60,000 people. Biden would have a rally with 30 people, and they took people from my rallies, and they wouldn't have my people were constantly complaining that they need more people. And they would, I wasn't very much involved in it. That was up to them, but they were constantly complaining that they're not giving enough people, because I had a rally in New Jersey, 107,000 people. They don't have rallies. Nobody goes to a Biden rally. Very few people. Once the rose starts to fade, very few people are going to be going to her rallies. She's terrible at rallies and speaking, but very few people. But we're getting crowds. Like last night, we had 25,000 people inside. We had another 25,000 people outside that couldn't get into the arena. And we do need, now I will say they've really beefed it up in the last week. It was pretty amazing when I looked at the difference. But my people, and they're very good people. Look, I had people standing on that stage with me, and within seconds, I had 7 or 8 people
but Mr. President,
laying on top of me, and they were very brave. They were very brave. But they made a mistake in not having somebody on the roof. And the communications with local police was obviously horrible.
Why did they let you get out the car? I mean, we're noticing now through the messages that's coming out now that they knew about the gunman before you even stepped foot on the stage. So why did they let you get out of the car?
Well, the biggest mistake they made is allowing me to go. There wasn't even a car. It was like a tent. But the tent was, safe. Nobody knew you were there. And they shouldn't have let me go on the stage. Now, they just weren't communicating properly with the local police. Different groups of people knew there was some nut job on the roof, and he was up there. And the one woman, a real Trumper, she got Trump all over, and she's screaming, there's a guy with a gun on the roof. Right. And that was, quite a bit before I walked up to the stage. And then you had the local policeman who it looks like he got up there and he saw the guy, and then he fell off the roof. And what happened to him? Why didn't he start screaming there's a gun? So there are many people, but the communication was bad. And, oftentimes, like if there's lightning or thunder or big rains or there's a problem, they'll say, sir, could you wait 15 minutes, please? Or could you wait 10 minutes? That happens a lot. Or there's a crowd of people somewhere.
Mr. President, yes. I was just going to inject. You just mentioned the weather. It sounds like from the reporting over the last 24 hours, there was supposed to be somebody on that roof, but the person was not on the roof because apparently it was too hot.
Well, hadn't heard that, but that's a terrible thing, and it's just a terrible thing. It's such a shame, and the Secret Service, they're such great people.
Yes,
it's a blight on their reputation. There should have been somebody on the roof. When you look at it now, it's a clear shot, and it's amazing that, you know, look, a person died, a fantastic Corey, and two great people were very badly hurt. I'm in communication with them, and the public has been so generous. We set up a fund, and the public's been so generous. But it's like, you know, a lot of money was given to the family of Corey, and the statement was, so nice, this is so nice, but I wish I had my husband back.
Yeah.
Of course.
The wife said that. And she doesn't want the money. They don't want the money. They had a great relationship. Corey was a fire chief and just a real great guy, everybody said. And, you know, they don't want money. They want their husband back. They want their father back. And he was very brave. He shielded the wife and the two girls, his two daughters, and he got hit hard. He got really hit hard. That's a tough one. When you get hit with those bullets, that's a tough one.
And what people don't understand, when you do meet with these families, you ask them questions. You want to know about these people. I really found that out talking to the Diller family and people that saw you in the wake in my town. But just moving on to something less important than life and death, but just about this election, they keep on tying you, whether it's yesterday's testimony when they were talking to Christopher Wray or whether it's Kamala Harris on the stump. They keep on tying you to Project 2025, which is a 900-page tome put out by the Heritage Foundation. What is your response to what's in it, and what would you like to say about the role it's playing in your campaign?
It's a group of very, very conservative people. They wrote a document that many of the points are fine. Many of the points are absolutely ridiculous. I have nothing to do with the document. I've never seen the document. I've seen certain things that are said in it. And it's a group of very conservative people that probably like me, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't speak for me. They wrote something that I disagree with in many cases, and in some cases you agree. But it's like a group of radical left people that write something, and, you know, people get angry by it. This is a document I know nothing about. It's called Project 25. I heard about it a week ago, and has nothing to do with me whatsoever. But, of course, our friends that are Democrats, radical left Democrats, they take the document, which is, I guess, pretty big and thorough, and they scour through it. And anything that's bad in there or that's a little bit less than mainstream, they take it and they make a big deal out of it. Donald Trump and Project 25. Are you ready? I know nothing about Project 25. I haven't seen the document. I don't intend to really see the document. And it's a group of people that got together that wrote some kind of a dream document for them. But it has absolutely nothing to do with me. And it's just disinformation, Brian, by the Democrats. It's pure disinformation.
So, Mr. President, they plan on using that to attack you, but they're also trying to divide the country. And you've seen what they've already started to do because Kamala Harris is Jamaican as well as Indian. How are you going to handle that? Because you made real gains with black voters, Hispanic voters, young voters. They're giving you a shot because they like where you stand on the economy. They like where you stand with criminal justice reform, giving their kids a quality education. So when you go toe-to-toe with Kamala Harris on that debate stage and all the publicity with the press and all that, how are you going to handle that?
Well, I handle it very easily. I have the economy on my side. We had the greatest economy in history. They have a lousy economy that's so inflation-ridden. We have the worst. I think we have the worst inflation in the history of our country, and it's destroying people. Where people have to pay twice and three times more than they were paying for something 1 year ago, 2 years ago. Look at what's happening to energy. Look at what's happening to food, all these things. So I have that. I have the border on my side. The border is a big deal. I fixed it once. I got it down to a level, the best ever. And then they broke it. They've broken it. I had to do it twice. I did it in 2016, and then these guys came along and they broke it. We have 20 million people. Many of them are criminals. Many of them are terrorists pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are, where they come from, and they come from all over the world, not just South America. They have nothing on their side. And the abortion issue, which they think they have, they now don't have, because I was able to bring that back to the states, and the people are voting on it. Right. And most people believe in the exceptions, the three exceptions. And the abortion issue is a much smaller. Look at what happened in Ohio. They voted, and they got what you would say the progressives wanted. Yep. Very much so. Same thing in Kansas. The people are voting. Everybody wanted that issue. The abortion, they didn't want Roe v. Wade.
Now the states have
They wanted it to be taken out of Congress. They wanted it to be taken out of the federal government. I was able to do that. And now people are voting. And they're voting the way the people want. That's the way it was always supposed to be.
You're talking about voting, and early voting it's being pushed by the Democrats. It has been for a long time, or voting by mail. Republicans usually like to go on that Tuesday in November on Election Day. But I know that the message is changing. Why is it important? Why is it advantageous for your voters to have early voting or vote by mail?
Well, it's nice to have early voting. The main thing is to vote. A lot of things happen with the early votings that is no good. Look, anytime you have mail-in voting, you're going to have fraud. And some people don't like me saying it, but I say it. When you have mail-in voting, France had mail-in voting, and they ended up going to one-day voting with paper ballots and voter ID, and it worked out great for them. At 10 o'clock in the evening, it was done. We have mail-in voting. The votes are coming in. They get.
But you want your people to early vote, though, right?
I guess I'd rather have that, but the main thing is I want them to vote. Republicans historically like voting on Election Day, and what we should have, ideally, one-day voting, voter ID, proof of citizenship, and paper ballots.
Right.
And paper, by the way, is very sophisticated. It's called watermark. It's highly sophisticated.
I like it.
But that's what we should have in this country, not this mail-in voting where millions of votes are sent out and nobody knows where they went and where they're coming from.
Mr. President, a couple of weeks ago, Wall Street Journal had a story about how it sounded like Elon Musk was going to be donating $45 million a month to a super PAC to support you and get people to early vote and stuff like that. What is going on with you and Elon Musk?
Well, I have a good relationship with him. I think he's a nice guy. I disagree with the electric cars for everybody. I think people should have, and I'm very much against that. It's ridiculous, actually. You want a gasoline-propelled car, or you want maybe a hybrid. You want to have a choice, and that includes electric. But no, Elon and I have a very good relationship. As you know, he endorsed me very strongly. Somebody told me he was going to give me $45 million a month. I said, that sounds like a lot. And even for Elon, that's a lot. But he was going to give me 45 minutes. There was a reporter that wrote it.
Right.
He never told me he was giving me 45, but he did say, I strongly endorse you, despite the fact that I'm against the electric car mandate. I'm all for electric cars if people want them.
He didn't pay you off.
Totally against
he just joined your team.
But Mr. President, real quickly, is there a plan, though, for when it comes to early voting and ballot harvesting, the legal way? Since the Democrats has made it legal, is there a plan for the Republicans to get out there, door knock, and get those ballots?
Oh, yes. We have a tremendous group of people, thousands, tens of thousands of people all over the country. We have poll watchers, the likes of which we've never had before. Whether you like it or not, they cheat on elections. They cheat. That's what they do the best. They're no good at policy. They're no good on the border. They're no good with the economy, but they cheat like hell. That's what they're good at. We have lawyers at every poll booth. We have that's what in fact, my instruction, we don't need the votes. I have so many votes. I'm in Florida now, and I drove to another location yesterday, and every house has a Trump Vance sign on it. Every single house. There's not a house that we passed that doesn't. We have the votes. What we have to
drive
do,
by Charlie Crist's house then.
I know.
Just saying.
Charlie, I think Charlie probably has one up too, if you want to know that.
He's a Republican.
But everybody has. It's amazing, the spirit. And I'll say this. We had two elections. The first election, we did great. The second election, we did much better than the first election. But this election has more spirit than I've ever seen ever before. And that's because they've seen how bad these people are at government.
And next up Saturday in Minnesota. And next up Saturday in Minnesota.
Remember this, they're destroying our country, Brian.
Right.
They are destroying our country.
Mr. President, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
We'll be following that rally.
We told your communications team you would be out by 8 o'clock, and we went 90 seconds over. It sounds like you completely recovered, and it's great talking to you. Thank you, sir.
45th President of the United States.
I am in good shape. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.